Thanks, Rob. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the December 2023 regular session of the Board of Directors of the Board of Public Utilities. I don't have an attorney and I can't even get a roll call. Hang on. Hang with us. Yes. Can I get a roll call? Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Roll call. Mulvaney Henry,
Here.
Bryant,
Yeah.
Gonzalez. Here. Groneman,
Here.
Haley,
Here.
Mylan.
Bob said here
Okay.
earlier.
Bob said here. You have a quorum.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone who's viewing in person, online, in the room with us tonight. I'd like to remind everyone that this is being recorded by audio and video. As always, there's a public comment section. If you are in the room, please sign up at the sheet at the executive assistance desk. If you're on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature on the app. Each member of the public wishing to speak shall provide their name and address. Please direct your comments to the board only. You have a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. This is a reminder that all comments made in this room are public. So we do caution any visitor to not disclose any confidential account information, nor disclose any account information about an account that is not in your name. For the same confidentiality reasons, staff will not be able to provide individual account information or history during an open meeting. Members of the public may also call or email BPU with any questions or concerns. Tonight's agenda and presentations, if any, may be found on the BPU website on the board meetings tab. If you're joining us via Zoom tonight, they should be on your screen. I'd like to remind everyone this is a business meeting of the Board of Directors, and we will conduct the meeting accordingly. The following rules apply to this meeting. Every person in this room, those attending online, will act respectfully toward each other. Personal attacks and accusations toward any person will not be tolerated. Please state your specific issue or question to the board only. Attendees shall refrain from side discussions or individual commentary that interferes with speakers or other attendees at this meeting. If side discussions are necessary, please take them outside of the boardroom. If any of the above rules are breached, you are subject to removal at the board's discretion. I am Rose Mulvaney Henry. I'm a member at large, position 3, and I'm the current board president. Other members of our board and staff include Bill Johnson, the general manager, David Haley, member at large, position 2, who is joining us remotely this evening, Tom Groneman, 2nd District and current board vice president, Bob Mylan, 1st District and current board secretary, Jeff Bryant, 3rd District, Mary Gonzalez, member at large, position 1, and Angela Lawson, our acting chief counsel. Do remind everyone to please put your phones on silent. Microphones are all throughout the room. They are extremely sensitive. They can pick up and record any comments that are made. Before we begin our meeting, I'd ask that we please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've already done our roll call. I think we're good.
Yes,
I have actually I have a motion to modify the agenda slightly this evening. I'm actually going to consolidate the request of for approval of all of the minutes from November 1st, 15th, and December 4th and 6th. Is there any objection to the agenda as revised? Or actually, do I have a second?
Well, Madam President, I'd like to also request that the agenda be changed under the general manager staff reports, that item 1 and item number 2 are flip-flopped, so that we, for myself, I would like to know that the budget is in place for 2024 before we consider such a hefty budget transfer. So I request that. And with that, I would make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So move 1 and 2.
Move 1 to number 2 and 2 to number 1 under general manager, and then consolidate all the minute approvals.
Prior to taking a second, I just, and Jeff and I had a little bit of a conversation about this the other day via email. The issue I have with that is that the budget transfer that's being considered this evening is part of the 2023 approved budget. And so chronologically, to me, that budget transfer should occur prior to any consideration of the 2024 budget. And so go ahead, Jeff.
Madam President, I understand, but I also know that we're talking about moving a considerable amount of cash reserves for the budget transfer that is not being considered to be used and expended. And to do that, I would feel much more comfortable if I knew that we had a 2024 budget in place moving into it, knowing that we're not taking money that may be needed for 2024 as a bridge money to get us through if the budget's not approved.
Okay, and so let me ask, so your issue is that the $440,000 that has been approved by this board for the 2023 budget for its economic development fund, that there's a consideration this evening to transfer that to another use to be used in 2024. You're asking that money be accounted for otherwise?
No, I'm saying that I would feel much more comfortable that knowing that we're walked into 2024 with an approved budget and knowing that we have the rest of the funds for 2024 in place before we take such a large amount of cash reserves to move, because we may need that as bridge money if the budget isn't approved and to get us through. So it's a simple, I think that it's a fair request. So I'm asking for that motion, for that movement to be made and the consolidation of the minutes.
Any other board member?
Is there a problem with moving with the switch? Is that,
I mean, to me, I guess
is Lori's
here.
You ask if there was a problem with the switch? Is that what you?
Yeah, technically, does it make any difference what?
No, I mean, we'll still, make the movement or make the adjustment to the budget to include whatever is approved.
If this board does not use the $440,000 that's in its current allocation for economic development, that has been approved in the 2023 budget, what happens to the money? I know we've had this discussion before, but
I mean, it goes into our cash, our overall cash, unrestricted cash. I mean, we have replenished the 2024 Economic Development Fund. So we've
Right.
made it whole.
right. So the 2024, what's being proposed tonight for the 2024 Economic Development Fund is $500,000.
Yes.
And so this $440,000, if it is not used by 12/31 of this year, it will not just automatically appear in the Economic Development Fund for 2024, so that there would not be $940,000. It literally goes into the general fund as unrestricted cash for this utility.
Unrestricted cash.
Okay, and we saw, I think you presented some financials in the last meeting, and there are at that time, there were 109 days of cash on hand. Is that right?
That was, the last presentation.
Yeah, 109 days of cash on hand. And I know the goal as a result of the rate increase was 120 days of cash on hand, so we're well on our way there. And so I guess I'm struggling with why I'm struggling with the chronological order of this, I guess. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I just don't understand why it can't be switched. I mean, I don't see where I would feel much better knowing that we have an approved budget going into 2024 before we make this large of a move again. So that's. And I've made the motion.
We have a revised motion
So we have,
with
technically,
two.
we've got,
Well, he added the
Well, I
consolidation
added-
as well.
Right.
The
So we
motion
don't-
was to switch number 1 and 2, flip-flop number 1 and 2 under general manager and condense all of the work and regular session minutes into a single approval.
right, so that was, so if, so
Well,
you have to go through,
you'd have to,
Hey,
Rose
hey.
would have to approve, would have to
Exactly.
allow the
but Bill's,
to
yes,
amendment to her motion.
right. Otherwise, you would just have a
Right.
first.
So why don't we do this? I'll second Rose's motion. We'll vote on that, and then Jeff, you make your motion. I'll second that and vote on it.
But if we vote on hers, we're only voting on moving the minutes into a single.
Right.
Okay,
That's right.
So if,
But then
but then we'll have to vote on approving an agenda, making another motion and approving.
So we'll have
the
a second amended
agenda.
agenda.
The second amended agenda. Yes.
Okay, so back to my original motion.
Mhm.
yes,
So-
and Bill was trying to get attention.
I've already talked to Rob. He was, we was talking about not changing the agenda before you guys actually took action, so.
Okay.
So,
You were
So-
talking.
so I'm doing it, so I'm going to do a roll call on simply consolidating
Consolidating
items
minutes.
4 through 9.
Well, oh, you made the motion. He seconded.
You have a
it.
motion on
Alright.
the floor, we gotta
Yeah.
vote for it, folks.
Yes.
We're gonna vote.
Okay,
on-
so there's a motion to amend the agenda to consolidate item 4, all of the prior work session, regular session, and special session minutes. Do I have a second?
Yeah, Tom-
Yes,
Second.
second.
Tom second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call, Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
I,
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Mylan.
Aye.
That motion carries. The items are consolidated.
I move to amend the agenda to switch number 1 and 2 under the general manager's section number. Well, I'm not sure which section we're under now, whether it's, I guess it's under number 6. Yeah.
Six.
Well, what will be number 6, yeah.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call, Mulvaney Henry,
Not to be difficult, but no.
Bryant,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
I,
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley. Haley,
No.
Mylan.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you. So Rob, you might want to second amended agenda. Sure. Okay. Sorry, Lori. Thank you. We're good.
That means,
We're good.
okay.
Okay, so I'm going to,
Lori, Lori.
I'm going to ask for an approval of the work session minutes of November 1st, 2023, the regular session minutes of November 1st, 2023, the work session minutes of November 15th, 2023, regular session minutes of November 15th, 2023, special session minutes of December 4, 2023, and the regular session minutes of December 6, 2023.
Second.
Well, you made the motion.
She-
So she was asking,
Oh, she was asking for it. Okay, I'm so moved.
I second, or Bob seconded.
Roll call, please.
Roll call, Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
I,
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Mylan.
Aye.
That motion carries, and thank you for not making me do that 6 times.
We'll go to the public comment. Mr. Johnson. Turn
Thank
it
you,
over to you.
Madam President. Chris, is there anybody wishing to speak tonight? Rob, is there anyone online wishing to speak tonight?
No, sir, no.
All right, so we'll move on past public comments, general manager, staff reports. First on the agenda, Lori has some prepared statements she'd like to make for item number 1 under the adoption of the 2024 budget resolution 5292.
Yep. Okay. Good evening. I just have a short recap of our 2024 budget proposal before you. So as I stated in our budget meeting, we have 4 objectives that are required in order to meet our budget requirements. So positive net income and positive cash flow, being able to fund our capital projects, and then maintain our cash balances and debt coverage. So our, go back to that one slide, sorry. So we're able to meet our positive net income with a combined positive net income of 41.4 million, with electric being 33.3 million and water at 8.1 million. We were able to achieve positive cash flow. We have a combined of 7.5 million. 6.1 of that is on the electric side and 1.4 million is on the water side. We were able to fund our capital program. It's combined, it's 67.1 million. Okay, next slide. So overall, we have a proposed budget of 392.4 million. That's approximately 0.75% higher than we had in 2023. And our 2023 budget was 389.5 million. So, in the budget uses, next slide. So overall, our budget uses of that 392.4 million, we have an operating budget of 233.8 million, our debt service of 52.4. The pilot is around 38.3, and our capital budget 67.8 million. And just a summary on our capital program of the 67.1 million, electric operations has about 24.6 of that. Production is about 10 million. Electric supply is about 950,000. Water production and operations is 26.4. Information technology about 4.3, and then our common security and other facilities about 820,000. Our summary of our funding sources. So we have an EDA grant of $2 million. On the electric side, we have an EPA grant of $5 million, which is on the water capital program. Water has a KDHE loan that was already established. They're spending about 11.2 million. We've identified a future bond issue of about overall about 50 million, but we're going to use about 7.3 of that in 2024. And then we're cash funding projects of 41.6 million. So our requirements, once the budget is able to pass, you know, we're always cautious spending at the beginning of the year. Our revenue peaks in May through October, so the first of the year and towards the end of the year are always a little bit tight to watch our expenditures there. So we continue to focus on our financial metrics, improving our cash on hand, maintaining our strong debt coverage, and then maintaining our credit status and our bond ratings. So, and we also want to be able to support growth and development throughout the community. This next slide just overall does a recap of our net income and cash flow, which I spoke of earlier. Our debt coverage, we're projecting it to be with pilot on a combined basis is 2.73 times, and without pilot is 2.0 times. So I'll take any questions if anybody has any questions. If not,
I got a few comments.
oh, okay.
So I do want to weigh in. I wanted Lori to get her budget message out. Just a few things that I want to remind the board of. You know, when you go through our budget preparation and meetings with the board, I mean, this takes quite a while to get through. So we had 5 budget meetings and work session with you. Went through fuel purchase power, staffing, revenue forecast for the next year. We've given you our capital plans, and then we had a budget retreat that took up most of the day to kind of bring all of that together so that you're looking at not only the capital side, but the O&M side at the same time. And we had full participation from the board, you know, during those meetings. One thing that I would note is, as it was already referenced earlier, we are going into 2024 with a little bit stronger cash position based on, you know, where we've seen ourselves over the last few years. So that's good, but it also helps protect us through what we call the shoulder months, you know, the lower revenue generating months, like winter and spring. You know, we are mainly a summer generating utility. Like most utilities, we make the majority of our money over the summer months. And then we have to figure out how do we manage through all of those periods where our revenues are not as strong as during those summer months. So, and we've also had to work through some economic challenges that, I mean, we all know about, we've all seen, with price increases, with all of the supply lags and supply chain shortages and on all the things associated with that generated higher prices. So I do want to give kudos to staff for being mindful of that, working through all those challenges, but also going into this budget with a reasonable budget that pretty much accomplishes the majority of the goals that we're setting out for ourselves next year. And with that, we're following closer with our cost of service plans and the things that we present to the public, presented to the board as to here's what the cost of service is, here's what we're trying to accomplish with this new cost of service. And then also thanking the board for providing the extra revenue on the back end of that to also help get us in a stronger position now and hopefully in the months and years to come. So Lori, I'll turn it back over to you.
Prior to the motion being made, I assume that you're gonna ask the board to approve the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Prior to that, I would ask if there's any discussion from any of the board members. Mr. Groneman,
Discussion.
any comments on the budget at all?
I just, over the time that we spent, the months and hours and days, I would hope that, in the new year, that we can find someplace in the budget or something to where we can look into, at least opening the lobby in some fashion, maybe not full blown like we have in the past, but do a study and see what the cost would be and then we can determine whether it'd be cost effective. Also, we talked about youth programs and possibly adding money to the youth programs. I hope that we can find that in the budget. And also, look for somebody with the specific skills and knowledge to go out and seek and find this federal money that's out there and to assist us with our budget in the coming year. So those are just a few of the things that I hope that we can do with this budget and within this budget. And I think we can. So.
Thank you, Mr. Groneman. Mr. Mylan, did you have any comments on the budget?
Very few. I was unfortunate not to be at the in-person budget hearing. However, I was able to attend by Zoom. So I take the position that the budget's in order at this point. So with that in mind, I think I'll pass on that, but the budget, based on my information, was recommended by the staff. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mylan. Mr. Bryant?
I would echo Tom's concerns. I do agree with that. I think that looking for a grant writer or someone with grant writing knowledge and experience that could help, look for some of these dollars, because I think it's going to be more of a tug of war to get them away from the state. So I think we need somebody who really has an expertise in that. And, I just want to thank all the staff for the hard work that they do every year, putting together a budget. And as soon as we approve one, they are already beginning to start working on the next one. So it's that thing that we, as board members, we forget about, for 6 or 7 months, but they're working hard at it every day. So.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Mrs. Gonzalez?
I would just like to echo a few of the comments that have been made, and also that I know we have a lot of water projects, and just kind of seeing those projects inch along, because sometimes we had the concrete issue this year and we couldn't keep working on the Argentine project, but you know, we've been talking about that project for a long time, and I think sometimes people don't understand or realize how long it takes to get something clear to fruition. And I know water has a lot of things on, you know, necessary to get done. And also like to just say a big thank you to staff. I know we spread this out over a long time, but to get these numbers, which are large numbers, when I think about my personal budget, to get them to the perspective that I, as a just common person, can understand, and the work it takes for them to show me. I just want to say I appreciate staff so much for that. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Senator Haley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate each of the comments that have been given by each of the members of the board. It's a very good and exceptional review of what we've gone through and what we have done. I do appreciate the staff's review and how copiously they prepared each of the sections that we had to have done. And my concerns remain, as we were saying, as we were talking about what the role has.
David, we've lost you. David, you appear to be having a connection issue. Can you hear us? I'll go ahead and move to my comments on this. I certainly echo some of the other board members' comments as well on this budget. And you know, we've got some line items in this budget that I think we had an opportunity, and we talked about some of this at the budget workshop, to actually, you know, change those line items from what they're listed as, i.e. lobbying, into actual, you know, whether it's a grant writer, whether it's consultants, or whether it is, you know, that are adept at going and securing this money that we know is available for this community. You know, our mayor is with us this evening, and you know, I know that he and his staff are working hard, as is, you know, Bill, you and the BPU staff, to try to secure some of this money. But if we don't allocate specific resource to go do that thing, that concerns me. In addition, you know, Tom, you mentioned sort of, you know, even, you know, some semblance of, you know, some lobby presence, right? Obviously, you know, I've certainly, you know, we've heard from the public. We've heard what they've told us, and we continue to grapple with that. And I've not really, you know, seen us put together. I mean, we know, because we got a presentation late in 2022, what it cost us every day to have a full functioning lobby. And so I'm confident we know what it costs us, you know, or potentially what it would cost us to have, you know, some partial functioning lobby. And that's not in this budget. And then third, you know, I certainly have taken objection to adding, you know, a C-level, you know, position to BPU. I mean, that I don't think is necessarily responding to the needs of the community as well. And so I have an issue there. You know, does not take away from all the hard work that Lori, you and your staff, and all the operational organizations you all have put into this. Dennis, you and your team have put into this. Appreciate all of that. But I guess those are my comments. Senator Haley, do we have you back yet? Okay, we'll move on. Go ahead, Lori.
So.
Oh, sorry, Bill.
So let me answer some of the questions. So currently we are and have in the past worked to try to secure as much federal dollars as we can. I mean, when the federal government And I think we all understand how slow our local government moves, how slow our state government moves, and the federal government even takes longer to move, okay? So when they allocate certain dollars at the federal level to go to support their objectives, a lot of those dollars are gone or sent to the state level. It takes a while for the state to just determine how those monies are allocated. If it's going to the local city, county government, then there is some lag there too. So we have been very successful working directly with our state senators and representatives. So as part of this, what we was able to accomplish was get a $10 million grant for our water utility, the first time that's ever happened in the history of this utility. We've got a 2.5, David was 2.5 or $2.6 million additional grant for water utility, which is the first that's ever happened in this utility. Okay, nobody prior to the staff that's here was able to accomplish those feats in the past. So, and we're still working directly with our federal representatives and with our senators. In addition to that, I've made trips to not just to DC, but to Topeka, meeting with the department heads in Topeka, letting them know that BPU is interested in some of these dollars, that the state is now trying to determine how they're going to allocate dollars out across the state and what timeline comes with that. So those meetings have already happened. We're going up next month to meet with maybe 2 other departments to look for some additional dollars. We have hired a grant writer. We used a grant writer out west for securing state dollars to help build distribution lines out west. We're submitting an application this month to the KCC for some grid revitalization, modernization. That's going in this month for dollars to help our downtown district and some of our worst performing feeders. We're looking at some of that, and those are in the poor neighborhoods where we have the most problems and the oldest infrastructure. We're trying to get federal and state dollars to help support that. So we do have a grant writer. We've been using a grant writer where those applications are available to us. But first of all, we have to determine where the funding is and what is it that we can actually get ourselves, because the dollars that are out there today are far different than the dollars that came out during the COVID. Those dollars were going directly to consumers to help pay utility bills. Everything now from the federal government is all built around renewable energy and grid modernization and things like that. So there's no dollars coming to the state to pay people's utilities bills anymore. But there are energy efficiency dollars that the consumers can make application for themselves and vendors can make application for. And we're trying to help build a communication plan to go to our citizens to help them understand where they go and how they can receive some of these state incentives for modernizing, weatherproofing their houses and things like that. So, but BPU, those dollars not coming to us. Those dollars are available for the citizen themselves. So Tom, I will take another look at the lobby to see if we can do some type of a limited operation there.
Okay, so you have before you resolution number 5292. It's a resolution approving, adopting, and appropriating the budget for the Board of Public Utilities for the 2024 budget beginning January 1, 2024.
This is Jeff. Move to approve resolution number 5292.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Mulvaney Henry,
No.
Bryant,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Brenneman,
Aye.
Haley, Mylan.
Aye. You
That
call my
motion
name?
carries.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a budget transfer consideration that was requested to be placed on the agenda.
Yeah, it carried. Yeah. Madam President, can I ask who requested this to be put on the agenda?
I did.
Okay. Well, I would say that I have concerns that a transfer of such a considerable funds is being moved forward by a board member who is unwilling to approve a working budget for our utility.
Which is the reason why you wanted these in different order. So now,
Yeah.
now at least we got it out there.
Well,
So
that's fine.
That's good.
But I do have concerns that you're willing to,
I'm
easily.
willing to give this money, I'm willing to allocate this money to our residents that need this money through utility assistance and hardship. That's what this allocation is for.
I understand, and that's $440,000 that'll be
Yep.
paid for by every other resident in our city. Without
Jeff, that money was approved in the 2023 budget and
For
the
economic-
rates are not going to raise as a result of this transfer.
that
Oh,
money-
or maybe I'm mistaken about that, Lori. Will the rates be raised for our residents as a result of this transfer?
No, they will not.
Thank you.
that money was approved for economic development.
That's right.
And
And
if
we
it-
didn't use it.
And if it doesn't get used, then it goes back in as cash reserve and it will prolong how long it would be before we have to do a rate increase in the future. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this money out of economic development and move it into a fund where we already put in considerable amount of dollars. I'm not saying that more can't be spent because I did vote last year to approve the transfer that you've pushed forward in the previous year. But I'm having a problem that it's being moved forward by a board member who will not even approve a working budget, but yet they're willing to spend the money that's in the budget.
And I stated my objections to the 2024 budget.
Yeah.
Jeff, you got the budget approved, so you're good.
It's not a matter of whether the budget's approved or not. It's a matter.
So you're
of-
just taking an issue with who presented this motion, who's presenting this transfer.
I'm having an issue with a person who's not willing to move a working budget forward for the BPU, but yet they're willing to spend the money that's in that budget.
Is it possible that, if we don't approve this transfer and the $440,000, I suppose goes back into the general,
Unrestricted cash.
sure, unrestricted cash, what could that money be used for? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, it would just a part of our operating and maintenance expenses.
I mean, okay. Well,
On the budget transfer, now this will be going into the 2024 for use for utility assistance in 2024.
That's correct.
How are we setting from December 20th to the 31st? Should we consider setting some of this money aside for, or putting it in the budget this year for utility assistance, or do we have enough money to carry us through this year?
So we've almost depleted all the funds for this year, Tom. There's a few dollars left. I was requested that a few days ago. I did send that out. It was kind of based on earlier in the month. It's hard to understand the timing of all of this when people are going to our agencies making a request, and then the timing of that coming back to the utility or going back to United Way. But I would say that there's not much money left,
How much time does it take between when somebody goes here, we send them to the United Way does what they do? How much time from the beginning of that process till they get the utility paid? Do we know? Is that a day, 2 days, a week?
I think what we found out when we met with all of the agencies is that can vary from one agency to the other. So I don't know that I can answer that directly to say it takes X number of days for them to process things to get it to us. Because I think that, there is also other dollars beyond BPU dollars that are out there that some of these agencies are getting from direct funds through their campaigns that also is going out to the public too. So I can't answer that. I can, Janetta's not here. Is there anyone from customer service here? No, so,
I would just hate to have everything moved to 2024 and then have some people get cut off at Christmas because we had a shortage, so. I'm glad that we're having the opportunity to do this again this year to help the people out there that need the assistance. But there may be some still this year that need that assistance. Would it be possible to split that? How difficult would it be to,
she's
of the 440,000 to take, 100 or 140 and for the rest of this year and then 300 for next year? Transfer.
I mean, we can do the transfer in 2023. I mean,
If we did the transfer in 2023 of the 440 with the monies that are not expended by the end of the year, they'll just flow into the 2024.
right,
General fund.
So they're
Right.
well into the
Utility
numbers,
assistance.
the United Way or whoever's handling it. It would just be still available, whatever's left after.
I mean, typically we wouldn't do that. I mean, we just start the new year with what we have in the budget. I mean, we can make the transfer. We really would need to transfer into 2024 as well to carry it over.
I am on the phone.
Another, sir.
yeah, Janetta, did you hear the whole conversation about how long does it take if a customer goes to one of the agencies and how long does that take to get back to us or to United Way?
If you're asking how long it takes us to get the money, when a person makes application for those dollars, they have to meet all the requirements and get all the paperwork in. So some of the time it just depends on how long the person takes. But once that person does apply, they consider that, and what they do is put a commitment on the account, and then the commitment is paid, and the service is either restored or is not eligible for disconnection based on the commitment. Then the agency has 30 days in which to get us those funds. And that's how it operates. Currently, we're down to the last $1,000 in the hardship fund, but they do have some applications that will probably take those dollars. So those dollars are no longer available. The money that's allocated to the agencies goes out on the 15th. At last count, which was about a week ago, United Way stated there was still about $40,000 left. So which would notably get us through the end of the year until we had the new dollars in 2020.
Did you hear that, Tom?
Left.
United Way said they still have about 40,000.
And that's for utility assistance. The hardship dollars have been depleted, where there's a small amount, but they're going through those applications now to approve those, so they're not taking any. However, the utility assistance did get their dollars on the 15th and still have dollars, and there's about 40,000 left as of last week. And I'm sure that there have been some people that applied, so there may have already been some that's been designated, but not 40,000.
So I think we'd probably be okay to wait till 2024 for the transfer to go in. There's only a week and 4 days.
I just was throwing that out there. I didn't, just for consideration.
Mhm.
They said the hardship was gone, but that there'd be 40,000 left in that.
What normally, what do we allocate for the hardship? Is that 50,000?
1,000.
120,000, I think.
It's 120.
It's 100.
100,000.
120,000.
100,000.
Mhm.
It was the
So,
old community.
so it's 120 for hardship and 100,000, 105 or so for utility assistance.
And then this last year, we did the extra 225,000.
Mhm.
And we've almost depleted that entire amount.
I think it was 250,000?
I think it was 225.
I was thinking,
25, okay.
Senator Haley, you've got your hand raised.
Thank you, and I'm sorry that that I didn't get a chance to weigh in on the actual budget vote, which concerned me before it went out, but I did appreciate the discussion that was being had. and this discussion as to this allocation of this 440 going in to the next either this next year or being retained now, not only for those who are needy, as we have done. And I mistakenly too thought it was a $250,000, not 225, that we actually appropriated. That all being said, I'd like to see this expended as economic development originally, that it was proposed for, but to put it back into the general fund when there are some immediate needs. I think Tom was speaking to this too. Even now in the last fortnight of 2023 that people will need, I would certainly like to see those allocations that have not been expended go to the public good. I didn't have a chance to speak to and to echo, surprisingly, the concern that Tom expressed regarding us having no lobby and people still having needs. And I didn't want to really talk about that because that's a microcosm of our, 307, our full 380, I don't have the paper in front of me, $1 million annual budget. You know, or to speak about some of the additional allocations out there. I guess that 250 could go through the line items for new personnel changes that were anticipated that may or not have been realized, like the CAO position and others. This all being said, let's put this to use for the public good. I don't know what the motion is that has been made regarding it, or I know that you were speaking to it, Rose, but I would much rather, if there's an overage in the very copious planning process that our staff has put together every year in each of the departments, if there's a mistake to the good of where we can do better good and access better the public's need, that's where I'd stand. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, is it time for a motion?
I don't know because I don't know that. You actually did present the resolution, sorry. I move to obviously approve resolution number 52.
We already did that with the budget.
I don't,
There's no resolution.
Oh,
on
there's
the
no resolution.
Budget transfer.
Oh, I move to approve the budget transfer that has been proposed.
I'd like to amend that to where we would allocate, as I understand, they said that the hardship funds are done or we're out, and there's still people that have applications in, to take 40,000 of the 440,000 and allocate that for the hardship program.
Who is that recommending?
That's,
I'm good with that amended motion. And so in 2023, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm good with that amended motion.
I will second the amended motion with 40,000 going into the hardship program this year.
Okay, so to be clear, the motion on the table then is that 40,000 of the 440,000 is allocated to the utility hardship program in 2023, and the remaining 400,000 would be allocated to utility, split up, I guess, equally between you, however we normally split it between utility assistance and hardship in 2024.
Well, I understand it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to the amended motion. Roll call, please.
Discussion, please. This is David. What is left in the hardship right now? I certainly think that the
$1,000. And
How
there are
much?
multiple applications
how
that
much? I'm sorry, what'd you say?
$1,000.
Okay, and there are multiple applications. Okay, I didn't hear what Janetta had given us that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yep.
For clarification, Lori, if we move $40,000 into the hardship program for 2023, will it carry over into 2024 if it's not expended?
Typically not.
It'll go into if it's not expended, it'll go into the cash reserves.
Now, there's a lag there in the billing from the United Way to us. So, I mean, if it's expended, on their side in 2023, we will recognize it in 2023.
Well, let me speak to that. I'm the author of the hardship program. That's a humane program. People have other problems that they can't pay utility bills. Therefore, circumstances has created, in my mind, a hardship program. We've been down this road before.
Mm,
Yes.
Folks, Wyandotte County is almost 50 or 60% senior citizen. Down the road, they're gonna be to a hardship mode somewhere along the line. Don't deny the public that says it can't take care of this. Not to have a hardship program to take care of our own. Plain and simple.
I was asking if we give them the 40,000 this year, what happens on December 31st? If it's not spent, do they move it into next
You
year?
can roll it over, yeah.
Well, she's
The
saying, no.
hardships did not end
Yeah,
December 31st.
yeah,
Look, folks, we have a
We
budget.
already, it's in the budget.
yeah.
We already have
Understanding what the-
replenished it for
Yeah.
2024.
We're just adding to
What
it.
the theory is the budget is January 1,
Mhm,
December 31st. We've been to it, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
The hardship go beyond the 31st of December. Plain and simple. Roll it over.
We fund that every year though,
Yeah.
with every budget.
Yeah,
so-
I'm just curious, what happens if they're only expend 20 of it? Does the other 20,000 just roll into the 100, to tag onto the 100 of next year? Or is it just gonna be put back into cash reserves?
It will be put back in cash reserves unless they've already expended it and then we will recognize
The
it.
dollars that they expend will be gone out.
Right,
Okay.
right.
All right, thank you for the clarification.
Call the motion.
Yeah, it's already been called.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Mylan.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thanks, Lori.
So for clarification.
40 to
20,000,
2023 to utility hardship.
40,000 In 23
For the hardship
for the
program.
hardship, 400,000 is split next year. Is
Yeah,
that what I heard?
well, I believe utility assistance and I mean,
And
it's just-
hardship,
Hardship.
And hardship, because
Okay.
it,
split at 50-50, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So
How,
we'll,
how much is, oh, I'm sorry.
Well-
How much is already in that for our 2024 budget for hardship?
100,
Just 100,
For
120.
hardship is only.
125.
125. Okay.
So-
okay.
so Janetta, why don't you and I
Fine.
meet with,
I don't think-
United Way sometime tomorrow, if you got time, to let them know that there's $40,000 additional in the program this year, and to see if they can get the money out this year. I'm not sure what applications are coming and where the timing of all that is. We can see if we can push that along.
Okay.
All I'm saying is
Okay.
hardship lasts beyond
Mhm.
December 31st. Plain and simple.
It will.
We'll take care of that too.
Alright. All right.
Just that it was running out of money, so we just put them.
Rob, can you put the agenda back up?
Yeah, had $1,000 left in ours, yeah. So we're.
So moving on, miscellaneous comments, I've got a few. First, I guess, thank the board for adopting the 2024 budget. We simply have to go forward with a budget to fund our utility operations next year, so thank you for that. Second of all, I would like to acknowledge the passing of John Mendez on Saturday, and John is it's Mary's husband. You know, those of us that have known John certainly thought a lot of John, and we'll always remember John. So first of all, I want to acknowledge that. I also want to send my condolences to the rest of the family. Mary, so if you can please pass that on. And thanks for the email update. I think it was email update on the services. And that's tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, so, and then I just learned that John's brother passed today. So his name was Raymond. So that's kind of a heavy hit for a family, losing two brothers within a matter of a few days. So again, my condolences go out to Raymond's family for his passing as well. So
Thank you.
uh,
Thank you.
it's not something to talk about, not something to report on, Mary. So, but you know, I think how all of us feel. So now I want to go on to talk about two gentlemen that will not be with us too much longer on the board. So I'll start with Jeff Bryant. So Jeff was sworn in as a BPU board member in 2011. And he's brought a tremendous amount of passion and commitment to the 3rd district in which he serves. He's been very active throughout his district over the years. And he always seems to show up at a community event here and there, which is good. And he always takes time to meet with BPU customers while he's out at those planned events, or if he just happens to bump into somebody and listen and hear what their concerns are. At times, you know, Jeff has been willing and to meet and offer his advice to people outside of his district, which I know we got districts, I know we have at large, but I believe every board member feels the same about all of our customers, regardless as to what their address is. So Jeff has been a good board member and providing support and advice to all of those customers, regardless of where they live. He's also been steadfast in his belief in what a board member should be, and he's also reminded us to continue to work better and at our best in providing service to meet the public's needs. He's used his professional skills as a lead estimator, cost analyst at Plastic Packaging in his decision-making with regard to key financial board decisions that need to be made, such as rate adjustments, and also supporting our annual budget requests. He oftentimes allows his faith and his conscience to guide him through these decision makings when it comes to some of the most challenging things and obstacles we faced at this utility. This utility has benefited tremendously from having Jeff serve as one of our board members. And for that, I would like to thank you for all of your service. Jeff, I do have. Designed and crafted. I'll get to you next. Designed and crafted by some of the BPU's finest. This comes from our carpenter shop. So congratulations and thank you. The next gentleman I'd like to recognize tonight is Bob Mylan. Bob was sworn in 1991, and with this being 2023, it makes Bob the longest serving current elected official in Wyandotte County. And I think Bob really set that mark not a few years ago, and he's continued to serve in a huge capacity and been very active in his role here working at BPU. He's brought a passion to the community, especially young people, to this role as a board member. He's been very active in the youth program and other things that was mentioned earlier by Tom, and wanting to make sure that we continue to support that and try to maybe even beef up funding for that program. He's also been very supportive of staff, and that's not lost on any of us. He's been very supportive of the things that we worked hard at and many of the things that we've accomplished. So he's been with BPU over the years to where he's actually have worked with 4 different full-time general managers and 1 acting general manager. And he was also instrumental in hiring 3 of those permanent general managers. So Bob has a long history, knowing what challenges we go through and being there to support us. So thank you for that. He's been a tireless advocate for the water department, and he's the only board member that have a facility named after him, the Bob Mylan Pump Station, Bob Mylan Senior Pump Station. Before being a board member, Bob was involved in utility matters as he worked for the Department of Labor and was assigned to a BPU case years ago when BP was under a federal consent decree. He worked tirelessly in making sure that BPU improved its hiring and promotional practices. So there's many of us that have benefited from all of your work there, Bob, and the efforts you made during that time in your life. He's also instrumental in doing quite a bit, and Bob will tell you, he's got a list of things that he either started, was instrumental in forming, but one that comes to mind is the Wyandotte Economic Development Council. Bob, with BPU, along with 3 mayors and other key stakeholders in the community, was the one that formed that group, which was WDI at the time, that later became WYEDC, I'm sorry. So with all of that, this utility owes Bob a huge debt of gratitude for his tremendous support of our utility and all of the customers that we serve. Just a very small token of our gratitude from our carpenter shop. And hopefully you'll remember us every time you look at that. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam President, that ends all of the comments I have for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We'll move on to board comments. Senator Haley, do you have any comments this evening?
They unmuted me. Thank you. And thank you, Robert Camp, for unmuting me. You know, I look at the legacy, and certainly my comments are the legacy, and looking what Bob Mylan, who has long represented, and many of the people that are in the similar districts that I have in the legislature. And his name is Legion in our area, in our city. And the commitment that we bring, or that he's brought, is appreciated. I have not often publicly have expressed that, but I want to thank you, Bob, really for your leadership, for your guidance. I want to thank you for really setting the pace for so many years that I've looked up to, for those many years in the transition. It will never be matched, what you have done and served to our community, especially. And some of the foundational, we just talked about one, the hardship, and other areas that you serve with the organizations in there. And it's a legacy that won't be eclipsed. 30 some odd years, as Bill Johnson was just saying, that you've served. And just want to thank you for that service. Public service is difficult. To Jeff too, Jeff Bryant, who has been patient with me and has worked to try to bring me along and to better understand the way things work. We wish you Godspeed in your new endeavors, to you and to your passion for the utility. how greatly we appreciate that, because this is not an easy task. And this public service that we give is something that many people don't fully understand. As we put ourselves out there to be involved with this utility and to do so for making nothing, really, we don't get paid nearly anything. Like the big bucks, like they think we do. That's the staff. Jeff, you and Bob, again, I'm very grateful to you, and I wish you Godspeed in your endeavors. Finally, if I could say to Mary, we really share heartfelt condolences with John Mendez and his activity with the unified government, his activity as a working for the unified government in the city of Kansas City, Kansas, where he played a vital role for many years. Sincere, heartfelt condolences, Mary, to you and to the family on John's transition. He will be remembered, and he has been missed. That's all I have to say, and thank you for allowing me to share from my heart in my board comment section.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Haley. Mr. Groneman?
Yeah, I'd also like to extend sympathy to Mary and the family for their loss. John Mendez and I were close personal friends for many, many, many years, and there are a lot of stories that we can't tell. I also want to thank Bob and Jeff for their service and wish them well in their future endeavors. And also, I'd like to wish everyone here, staff and employees, a safe and happy holiday.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Groneman. I'm going to skip Bob and Jeff for a second because I'd like them to be able to offer their comments at the end of this evening. So I'll go over to you, Mary.
I'd just like to also congratulate Bob and Jeff on getting a long vacation on Wednesday nights. And also reiterate to staff, thank you for all your hard work on the budget and as long as that took. And thank you for acknowledging John. Any of you who knew him knows that John loved Wyandotte County. He loved Kansas City, Kansas. He loved the Chiefs, and he really loved his community. And I think he loved me a little bit too. So thank you for acknowledging him.
Thanks, Mary. Also echo the comments of the other board members. Mary, obviously, our John and I's heartfelt condolences to you and John's family and your family and also his brother's family. Bob, there will never ever be another board member like you. This utility has benefited from your public service for over 30 years. This community has benefited from your public service for over 30 years. And this community owes you a debt we'll never be able to repay. So I'd like to thank you for everything you've done in your role as a board member at BPU, in your role as a pastor in this community, and in your role as a leader of this community. Thank you for everything that you've done. Jeff, the public has seen yet again, we do not always see eye to eye on everything. But you too are an unbelievable public servant. I have seen your commitment, not just to your district. I've seen your commitment to our community, to those struggling in our community. I've seen your commitment to the employees of BPU. I've seen your commitment to everything that this utility stands for. And overall, I've seen your commitment just to our community at large. We also owe you a debt. And thank you very much for your service on this board and to the community. I know you will not be a stranger around here. So thank you. And gentlemen, I'd like to turn it over to you. Mr. Mylan, your comments this evening, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I just want to give thanks to Jesus Christ. 32 is kind of a sacred number to me. When I played basketball at Northeast, I made the first team as a 8th grader, and my number was 32. And then I was employed by the Florida Labor Government for 32 years. Now here I am again. Leave this board after 30 years. So that's kind of a sacred number to me. It means something of a journey. And with a journey, it's a first step. And this will be recognized for each of us. The first step of your pathway is a journey. But Jesus Christ allows us to take that first step. So this is kind of an emotional night for me with my wife, my daughter, my friends, Paul Jones there, my second son, my second daughter there. And I tell you, it's amazing how so many people can mean so much to you. And who walks in is my number 2 son. So glad to have you here, and his wife. I tell you, it's just rewarding to see my friends come forward on a momentous occasion. And I'd like to say to the staff and employees, it's been a good relationship. You don't be around employees for 32 years and you don't develop a passionate relationship with them. Playing golf, making trips, going back to the water department so I can go on and on and on. But you know, there comes a time when we got to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is my prayer. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Jeff?
Well, first off, before I start my comments, I will say that I appreciate everyone putting up with my passion. I try to have a very professional approach, try to keep emotion out of it as much as possible, but that's hard when you're dealing with people. But as Rose pointed out, we don't always see eye to eye, but we both care about our community, and everybody on this board cares about the community or they wouldn't be here. This being my final full board meeting, I hope you'll indulge me for a few moments. My wife and I were raised in church and place our trust in God to lead our direction, even if I do fail to listen as closely as I should. 13 years ago, I was sitting out there in the audience. I'd been attending meetings for nearly a year before asking God for 2 things. The first was that if he decided to place me on the board, he would provide me with the wisdom to make decisions that would move our city forward. The second was to let me know when I had completed my service. During my 3 terms, it has been my pleasure to meet and work with so many amazing staff members. The passion that is seen and felt proves that you aren't just employees, you are our neighbors. I will not even begin to attempt to list staff who I've worked with, because if I were to omit even one single name, I would feel that I've failed miserably. Just know that my wife and I are grateful for all of your kind words and gestures over the years. We feel honored to have had the opportunity to create these relationships and pray for each of you to have great success in your lives. We will miss you, but it is time for me to move on to what God has in store for our future. Thank you again for being our friends. Merry Christmas. And with that, I move to adjourn.
I second. The motion's been moved and seconded. A roll call, please.
Roll call. Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Mylan.
Amen.
Amen.
That motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
My Lord.